spectacle.
Thank you so much.
And the other is an artist, Joy Okorie.
Thank you so much.
Joy, welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you.
Today I decided to do with ladies so that the gender issue will be balanced. Are you happy with that?
I'm absolutely happy because most times it's always men. So, as a gender proponent, I just support your decision.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, today, before I throw the topic open to you, for you people to do justice to you, because I believe in your competency and your capabilities to dealing with this topic on discussion today. We have had so much hullabaloo in the time past about chief of staff meddling with the security advisors or meddling with the office of the SGF and so on. Now we have a new chief of staff, and we want to, on our own part from TVN, set the agenda for the chief of staff, at the same time set the agenda for the ambassadorial nominees who we believe will be soon ushered in to function in various nations of the world. Before we go into that, I would want you to listen to these 7-minute clips so that when we come back, we'll begin to feast on them. The Chief of Staff to the President is the senior operational member of the Office of the President of Nigeria. The Chief of Staff is the principal channel of communication between the President and the government. They also have responsibility for the official program and correspondence of the President. Through these roles, the position wields considerable influence. The Chief of Staff is appointed by the President and does not require confirmation from the Nigerian Senate. However, the functions of the Chief of Staff varies from administration to administration and depends not only on the qualities of the person appointed to the position, but also on the style and management philosophy of the incumbent president. The responsibilities of the Chief of Staff include, but are not limited to, selecting key presidential staff and supervising them, structuring the staff system, controlling the flow of the people to Aso Villa, managing the negotiation with the National Assembly and other branches of government to implement the President's agenda, and advising the President on various issues, including telling the President what they do not want to hear. Now we have brief history of Nigerian Chief of Staff. In May 1999, President Olusegun Obasanjo appointed Abdullahi Mohammed, a former military general and a governor of Old Benue Plateau State. Previously, he was the National Security Advisor. As the first Chief of Staff to the President, he continued in this role until after the first year of the Umaru Yar'Adua presidency, with his deputy Bolade Osinowo succeeding him. President Yar'Adua abolished the office and instead relied on a group of close advisors. Following President Yar'Adua's death, his successor, Goodluck Jonathan, assumed office as acting president. In a bid to consolidate his presidency, Jonathan appointed Mike Ogiadome as his chief of staff and General Aliyu Gusau as his national security advisor. In February 2014, Ogiadome resigned from the position and was replaced by a military general, Jones Arogbofa. In 2015, Muhammadu Buhari won the presidential election, and in August 2015, he appointed Abba Kyari as Chief of Staff. Following President Buhari's first illness and medical vacation, Kyari grew increasingly powerful. In 2015, Buhari ordered his cabinet to send all government correspondences and requests through the Chief of Staff, which gave him more and more responsibilities as the Chief of Staff to the government of the day. In a leaked, however, his office was having some issues because of a leaked memo Kyari was accused by Babagana Monguno, the National Security Advisor, of hijacking his role of coordinating national security. In March 2020, Kyari tested positive for COVID-19 and later died on 17 April 2020. In the same vein, we would like to give us some ambassadorial functions and tasks before them. Ambassadors represent the government of their country of origin in place of the president or leader in foreign countries or nations. Ambassadors are also known as diplomats, a more general term describing those that work in a foreign country while retaining citizenship in their home country. The foreign country known to ambassadors as the host nation serves as their base. From this base, they promote international relations on certain areas of government, such as trade, military involvement, and cultural relationship. Ambassadors also help travelers from their home country. They also explain foreign policy and evacuate refugees from dangerous situations because of the sensitive nature of their careers. Ambassadors carry out their duties with a diplomatic demeanor with the goal of keeping a positive relationship between the country that is hosting them and their home nation. Ambassadors have a wide range of responsibilities dealing with foreign relations. Each task is carried out in a diplomatic manner that is made to meet the needs of the ambassador's home country while keeping a positive relationship with that country. One of the most important responsibilities of an ambassador is to notify their home country of any economic and political development in the host nation. They write detailed reports in order to communicate foreign development, especially in the area of trade policies. Because of their unique relationship with the host nation, ambassadors are able to help in the development of foreign policy with that nation. All of these actions are meant to protect their home country's interests within the host nation. Another responsibility of an ambassador is to act as a representative of their country of origin. As a representative, they offer up their home country's position on many political, social, and economic platforms. They also meet with important political leaders and greet or host other diplomats. Ambassadors have distinct personalities. They tend to be artistic individuals, which means they are creative, intuitive, sensitive, articulate, and expressive. They are unstructured, original, non-conforming, and innovative. Some of them are also enterprising, meaning they are adventurous, ambitious, assertive, extroverted, energetic, enthusiastic, confident, and optimistic. Ambassadors try to smooth out the relationship between countries. They do this by attending treaty negotiations, immigration discussions, international meetings, which may include humanitarian and programs or foreign aid projects, banquets, and parties. Ambassadors spend most of their time in meetings with either staff members, foreign diplomats, or host country officials. They also spend a lot of time in an office writing up reports and implementing international programs. The working environment varies from country to country. An ambassador in poor countries may suffer through conditions defined extreme if coming from a wealthy country. In war-torn countries, though ambassadors are well protected, they may encounter dangerous situations during the course of their stay. Ambassadors may also be placed in wealthy countries, but may have to deal with tense relations between that country and their own. In countries where international relations are positive, ambassadors will benefit from a more regular work week. You're welcome back. And that has been a short video clip to tell us about some duties of a chief of staff to any presidential government, presidential house, and as well as ambassadors. I have two gentle ladies in the studio, and I have introduced them to you. But I will begin with you, the member of the Order of the British Empire. This is ambassadorial nominees and functions, as well as the functions of the Chief of Staff to our great President Muhammadu Buhari. What have you to say in order to launder the image of this nation, as well as, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's of what have been happening in the country?
Okay. I think, thank you very much for having me on your program and for actually focusing on this very critical issue. We are in an era where I think countries and the marks they make and the impact they have is very critical at this point. When you look at, for instance, the COVID-19 or the coronavirus episode or pandemic, we are looking at how countries can make their mark in an era where there is distress across the globe. And in so doing, Nigeria, as one of the foremost countries in Africa, is supposed to be in the forefront of finding solutions to the pandemic.
Okay.
What I am trying to say in essence is that when you look at Madagascar as a small country in Africa, making its mark in terms of providing a solution to the coronavirus pandemic.
Okay.
This is a time where it ought to be and should be Nigeria. So for Nigeria at this point to actually be marketing the Madagascar
of yesterday
is a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we have a lot of research institutions and universities. I don't want to go into how the universities are, because I read somewhere that more of the money in the universities is spent on non-academic staff than academic. But universities are supposed to be the bastion of research and knowledge. So we should be talking about maybe there are 20 alternatives or 30 alternatives that Nigeria should be trying to market in terms of the corona pandemic.
Okay.
So when you are talking of our image, I don't want us to go back into the old era, my era of Nigeria's image. How good we are. Is it the shining, the lion of Africa? I want us to go into tangible.
Or the giant of Africa.
Or giant, the rising sun or whatever. I don't want to say rising sun because that's Biafra. But what I am trying to say is that we have passed that era.
Okay.
We are supposed to be the foremost research country in Africa or in the world. We should be competing. We should be looking at our economic prowess. We should be looking at how do we launder our image in terms of human capital. Nigerians are excelling all over the world. If I do something wrong, I am a Nigerian British. If I do something right, I'm a British Nigerian. That is an image issue.
Yes.
The British people will claim you.
Okay. Just the way you are now.
I am.
You are a Briton.
No, I'm a Nigerian.
Okay.
First and foremost, seriously Nigerian.
Okay.
That is what I don't joke with my Nigeria.
Okay.
And I don't joke with my Nigerianship.
That's good.
I am 100% Nigerian, Nigeria all the way.
Okay.
But because I have an officer of the Order of the British Empire, if I do something so great in Nigeria now, they will link me to the Queen of England.
Exactly.
She is an officer of the Order of the British Empire.
Yes.
But if I do something nasty and I go into one of these Boko Haram thing, she is a Nigerian from Otukpo. That is when they will know my Otukpo hood. So I am first and foremost a Nigerian. But what I'm trying to say in terms of laundering of our image is that we should be focusing on the tangible, not the intangibles.
Okay.
It's not a media hype.
Okay.
I want you to come to Nigeria and see that you can go to the homes of 30 Nigerian scientists. I want you to go to the Ministry of Science and Technology and see a list of hundreds of Nigerians that have won. Look, Israel is one of the smallest countries in the world. But Israel has about 90% of the winners of the Nobel Prize. These are the kind of image things, and this is what I want our ambassadors to focus on.
Okay.
When you are there, don't go and wearing Babariga for nothing.
Okay.
Go there and attract investments to Nigeria. Go there and attract Nigeria's export potentials in those countries. Go there and promote Nigeria as a place that has a niche in the international spectrum of nations. Do not go there and start going to look, have your indicators. I have had the opportunity of training diplomats in the past in terms of looking at your indicators and your scorecard. I don't know if they still use those.
Yes, they have to. If they are not political about it, they have to.
Use your scorecard. What are the things? I am in US. US has about 30-40 Nigerians that are making their mark in US. How have I attracted them to Nigeria? How have I said to my Minister of Foreign Affairs that this will happen? All of this, it brings me back to the Chief of Staff. I was a student of international studies in ABU. Before I graduated in 1980, we are old now.
I know, that is why I brought you here.
He was my lecturer. I know what the media is saying, some of the media. I don't recognize that in Professor Gambari.
Okay.
I knew him as a Dr. Gambari who lectured me before he became a professor. Even when he was in the United Nations as the permanent representative, he still saw me as a student and was relating to me. To me, he was a humble, unassuming man. But very, very focused. So I know that in terms of these ambassadors, if Professor Gambari is to give his candid advice, they will succeed. They are coming at a time when a man who is very versatile in diplomacy and diplomatic relations is an advisor to the president.
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff.
He's still an advisor.
He's an advisor, but a Chief of Staff to the president. He will give his utmost advice and guidance. That I know. So these ambassadors are the first set of lucky ambassadors to get somebody with experience, knowledge. He has the academic knowledge as well as the personal experience. So it is up to how that is channeled in a way that Nigeria derives the utmost benefit. I'm here today not because of anything, but because of what I learned.
That's right.
It's true.
It's not just Professor Gambari. I have prominent lecturers, Yusuf, Bala Yusuf, and all those. However, in terms of discussing this, I wouldn't have known anything about diplomacy and diplomatic practice. And then after him, I had to go to UNILAG to do Masters in International Law and Diplomacy, where I consolidated my knowledge.
That's very good. Thank you for coming, and that is the reason I had to call you to come and dose it out for us and the FG in order to set agenda for the Chief of Staff and the ambassadors designate. Now, you've heard her, and you are an air personality and also a human rights activist, an international one for that matter. What are the prospects you are expecting from this Chief of Staff and the ambassadors as well?
and also throw more light in guidance for them.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
As a youth, first of all, before a human rights activist, I'm a youth.
Okay.
Like, I would, what my expectations for the new chief of staff is much.
Okay.
To whom much is given,
much is expected.
God bless you, sir. Now, I would want him to go beyond where our late former chief of staff stopped. I would want him to.
As our carry.
Yes.
Our carry
was also a nice person.
Yes.
In terms of some things he did, and let's leave the social media
aspect of mendacities.
Yeah. I would want the new chief of staff to put more efforts in teaching our ambassadors, because they need to be taught before they leave our country to wheresoever they're going to be representing the country. I would want him to lecture them more with his experience. Yes. With his experience. As a former ambassador, he knows much more better than a new one. Okay. I would want him to teach them more and give them more guidelines.
That is if the organization to handle their workshop will permit the ambassador to be, the chief of staff to be one of the lecturers.
I'm pleading to Nigerians, please do allow him.
Okay.
Because he has this experience. Before, if you elect me as an ambassador, I bet you I don't really know it, but I would want a mentor who knows it to put me through first, okay, before I make any step.
And judging from the pandemic issue, if we look at that angle, I don't know whether the aviation industry is open now, but I know they have not been allowed to function. Yes. Even if the ambassadors have been asked to go to the various countries of their designate, I doubt if they would be permitted to land in such nations now.
Okay, at that, I don't think, if, like you rightly said, I don't think if the aviation ministry is open yet, but if they are in Nigeria, I guess they should in the other countries. Now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, let's use, for instance, what happened when China people came into Nigeria. They were isolated for 14 days, yes, right? I also advise that not to have any issues with anybody. I would advise they'll be isolated for 14 days, and then afterwards they allow them
to function in their various
duties.
Although I might just chip in here, is that we must understand that when you're talking of diplomats, they are going out as representatives of the country.
Okay.
And there are some kind of exemptions.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So those exemptions might be that your diplomat can
go to anywhere.
Okay. However, the challenge is the airline business.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to carry just an ambassador and his children in my aeroplane.
That's right.
So it is just the airline business which is the focus, where you are correct.
Yes.
But if there is a way to go there, and there are airlines or helicopters or whatever that can carry people, there are exemptions.
Yes.
Right. Because they are not going there as Mr. Woke or Mr. Okoko, which is our Benue man there, or Alache.
Yeah.
They are going there as Nigeria. As a country, they are representing Nigeria, representing the head of state, and representing the people of Nigeria. So it does. Unless Nigeria is ready to pay for the remaining seats in the aircraft to drop their people or use the Air Force planes or whatever,
military jets.
Know that there will be exemptions. There has been lockdown, but there were exemptions for some countries to evacuate
The people.
They are people.
Exactly. And that is another function of ambassador.
Ambassador.
Yes.
Evacuation, which is what the chancellor should do. The interest of their people in their host country. You know, that is where, to some extent, you find Nigeria has a bit of a challenge there. Because you have complaints. If you go to the embassy to do your visa, there is always a complaint. They forget that the Nigerians in that country is what makes the embassy to be there to represent the people of Nigeria.
Yeah. Now, what would you advise, like you rightly said, is part of the questions I drafted down for you. Nigerians in diaspora, we have Abike Dabiri, who is the special advisor to the president on diasporan issues. I've been trying to reach her to come to Spectacle, but the press secretary said they have their own medium of speaking to the people. I said, okay, no problem. But I think, how would you profile her relationship with the various ambassadors, designate to go to their function, especially with the issue of visa policies? I learned that many Nigerians, especially in US and in Europe, they hide and seek. They are not with original documents, and they tend to do a maniac job to survive and so on. So I see the tax very
What you're talking about, illegal migrants.
Illegal migrants. So
you see, I want to correct something.
Okay.
And this is where I have a problem with Nigeria.
Okay.
Anybody who is a diaspora Nigerian does not have problems with visa.
Okay.
Okay.
A diaspora is somebody who is settled in one country but has family, economic, or social links with another country.
Okay.
Abike Dabiri's work, if it is diaspora,
yes,
it's not supposed to go into illegal migrants.
Okay.
If you are a diaspora, you are not an illegal migrant.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is where I have a challenge. If she is a foreign affairs
Minister.
or Nigerians abroad,
Okay.
she does with students. Students are not diaspora.
Yes.
That is foreign affairs work.
Okay.
And this is where the ambassadors must be clear about the delineation.
Okay.
The ambassadors don't deal with diaspora per se.
All right.
Because supposing I was a diaspora and I have an issue, I don't go to Nigerian embassy because I am settled in UK. I go to the department in the UK that is responsible for my challenge.
Okay. Which is the Ministry of Affairs, or?
No, if I have a
Foreign
social
affairs.
problem, I go to social department of UK government.
Okay, because you are a diaspora.
Because I'm a diaspora and settled in the UK.
Okay.
I don't go to Nigerian embassy to deal with the choice of schools for my children. As a diaspora, I go to the Ministry of Education or to the local government of which I vote to go and deal with the issue of my child in school. Abike Dabiri is dealing with diaspora, but she goes into, Nigerians abroad.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is not her jurisdiction.
Exactly. And people don't know. They think if today you carry yourself to go to England or to US and you are stranded because of COVID-19, they say, Abike, diaspora.
Yeah.
You are not a diaspora.
Okay.
You are a tourist.
Okay.
It is part of the work of the embassy to deal with Nigerian tourists who are stranded.
And Nigerians illegal migrants.
Illegal migrants are not diaspora.
Okay, so
It is the role of the embassy to, if that Nigerian who is illegal gets into trouble, it is the role of the embassy to say, you are illegal, but because you are Nigerian, I will not get you out of this problem, but I will make sure you get legal representation.
good.
Okay.
So even if they are going to jail the person, he has a legal representation.
Okay.
Abike should not be dabbling in foreign affairs, but in diaspora matters.
But she need to come here and speak to us.
I don't know about why. I have
to.
given them a lecture when she was in the house. A diaspora is somebody who is settled in another country but has links. Settled. Not a student. A student is not settled. Not a visitor. Not somebody who has not got their papers. Not somebody, if in South Africa, when she intervened, she intervened because those people have decided to live and be settled in South Africa. But to go and say, a pandemic, I'm repatriating Nigerians from Wuhan. If the Nigerian is a diaspora, first and foremost, that person should go to the country of origin, of host.
Okay.
The host country.
Which is China in that case.
In that case. But if the person is a business person living in China, and that comes to one thing that Nigerians don't do.
Okay.
And we were having a conversation. When you are a visitor or a businessman or a student, you should normally, after arriving in the country, to make the work of the embassy easier, you should go and register yourself. All British citizens go to register at the British embassy. That is why they know how many aeroplanes to come to evacuate their citizens.
Okay.
If you do not register, how does the embassy know you are there?
No way.
You must go and register as a visitor or as a student. Students are easy, especially those on scholarship, because their governments work through the embassy. But if you are paying for your child who does not register, you do not expect Nigerian government to evacuate him because they are not witches and wizards
to know
that your child is in one school.
Okay, but they could, extend the hands of benevolence as
if they know.
If they know.
But your child should register. I am so Nigerian from here. I am schooling here and I will be here for the next 4 years. Your record is with the embassy. If you are not living, maybe in the process of being there, you marry and become a diaspora, a settled person. You go back to the embassy. I am now a settled person, so that the embassy has record. These ambassadors are going there. They don't know the number. If you ask any country, how many Nigerians are in that country, to be honest and fair to the ambassadors, they don't know. Because some people go there illegally, they go there with wrong names, fake names and fake passports. So these ambassadors are there for a big challenge. So many challenges that sometimes they even blank out. And this is where the complaints come from. Go and register with the embassy.
They won't.
Go and tell them I am here.
Because they were showing us videos of how they were suffering in China.
Did they register? Look,
and we're like seeing these videos.
Can I tell you?
What do we do from
What
there?
do you do? Did
we
you
don't
register?
even have ambassadors like that. Then this is just.
No, did you? Let me tell you, the ambassadors are not only there to know numbers.
Yes.
There is the immigration that sends the passport leaflets. There is the welfare section that checks people in prison. That is why you register. If you don't tell the people that you are there, according to the maybe embassy list, we only have 5,000 Nigerians. They tell immigration, send 10,000 booklets so that I can renew twice.
Yes.
Then on the day of opening I see 20,000 Nigerians. I think what one of these ambassadors ought to do is that if you are not registered with us, it will be difficult for us to support you. If you come for renewal of your passport, you are not registered with us, we will force you to go and register before we support you, so that we know the number of Nigerians
we have here.
Their work is dependent on figures. Their budget is on figures. How do you go to negotiate with a government in the overseas and say, we want you to come and invest in Nigeria? And the government says, how many Nigerians are in here? And you say, I don't know. I guess. It is estimated to be. So we must begin to be very factual about diplomacy and diplomatic practice, particularly we the complainants.
Okay.
We complain a lot and we don't do the simple thing.
Exactly.
And let the embassies make it easy to register. When I go, I don't need to come 15 times. Let there be a place. I collect a form, I write, I fill this form, complete the form, submit, and I get a acknowledgement. There they have postal systems and so on. An acknowledgement, even if it means paying £1, $1 to respond. Get an acknowledgement that you have been registered and you are number 2555 on our registry.
And you are living at so.
And you are living at so. And please, if there is a change to your circumstances,
Take it back to us.
come back and register. You go, if you don't know anybody in the embassy, you go 20 times, 30 times. There was a time it was so difficult in England. I would say this thing to support Nigerians then. They had to contract the job to an Indian company. And we go there as Nigerians to the embassy. Then an Indian man who is security tells me I can't enter Nigerian embassy. We nearly scattered the place. How can you, an Indian, standing in where I cannot be arrested as a Nigerian because it is my embassy?
Yes.
And you tell me I can't enter, and you an Indian, we nearly, it didn't take them how many months, they removed that Indian company. No, but you see, these are the kind of things the ambassadors have to face.
Yes.
And these are.
And it was even wrong in a first instance to place that kind of.
It was outsourcing.
Yeah,
that time they were
understand.
outsourcing, and the Indian company won the bid. But they should have warned the Indians that these Nigerians are not Joko. Don't come and tell them not to enter here. They could have trained the Indians, but that brings me to Gambari. Gambari is astute. He knows what it is as the front line.
Yes.
Secondly, he knows what it is to be not just an ambassador representing the country in a country, regionally. Because there are ambassadors at COS, regionally and internationally. He was in the UN.
Okay.
There are ambassadors who go to the UN. So they are representing Nigeria across countries.
Yes.
So it is not just a one-to-one bilateral representation.
Okay.
There is the multilateral representation, which he has the skills and the experience. So we are hoping.
Do you think that this, before I come to you, be preparing on the right issues? No, I really, that is your field, and that's why you are here. She will speak on the rights of the diasporans and the rights of the illegal migrants, whether they have any rights to make any case before the ambassadors at all in foreign nations. Now, the duty of Gambari, the Chief of Staff to Mr. President now, do you think that because of his experience and experiences, he's been limited as a Chief of Staff or what?
You see, I think, I am a very optimistic person.
Okay.
I don't look at the negatives.
Okay.
And I always believe, just like most Nigerians, where God places you, there's a purpose.
Okay.
I never think where God places me is too small for me.
Okay.
Because it is pride. Some people are saying he shouldn't have accepted. This is a man that God has placed in a particular place for him to say, God, no, I am too much for this.
Okay.
And knowing Gambari being a very serious Muslim, he will believe that it is the will of Allah where he is. He is not only a diplomat. Even when he was in the United Nations, Gambari was into peacekeeping.
Okay.
He was negotiating peace between warring nations. He negotiated the peace in Darfur, Sudan.
Yeah.
He negotiated the peace for human rights that you are talking about. Sun Chi, the president, current president of Myanmar, was in jail for how many years? Decades. He helped to negotiate for her to come out, after which she became the president today. So he has peace relationships, conflict resolution. Maybe he would deploy that to Boko Haram. How do we negotiate peace with warring factions like that? It was worse in Darfur, in Sudan. He did a lot for African peace. And got one of the highest awards in South Africa for a non-national.
That was why I shot him first, as we are getting it right now.
Yes.
In the country.
So, and because of his age, and coming from a royal family, you know there's a maturity and peace that comes with royalty.
Yes.
So he will not be arrogant, he will not be quick to temper, which I have never known him to be.
His first statement is answerable to Mr. President.
Let me tell you something. When there was one meeting in ABU after we had left years, and I went there as a journalist for the Triumph newspaper, Kano State owned. And I said to then Dr. Gambari, now Professor Gambari, I said, sir, the thing you taught me in class, he was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The thing you taught me in class is not what you are doing now. I thought he would say, Alache, get out of here. He looked at me and said, my student. You know what he told me, and that thing remains with me till today, till tomorrow. He said, Alache, the view of the road is different when you're a passenger from when you are a driver of the vehicle.
Wow.
Anyway, thank you very much, Alache Ode, for coming to Spectacle. And I will round it up with you. You will just give us a minute statement after her. Yeah. You have maybe 2 or 3 minutes to round.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
The right, do we have the illegal immigrants? Do they have right at all in the international communities, especially to make towards their ambassadors? Do they?
Well, before I answer you, it's just like a thief who comes to steal. And when you're being caught, you say, "Is my rights? That money is my." Excuse me, it's not your rights. You actually stole it. Do you understand? Yes. The rightful owner will come, pick the money, and nobody will ask questions. But you'll be beaten.
You could even be
jailed. Some people will go as far as
jungle justice.
God bless you. Putting tires and, So back to the question. The answer is no. But with a human sympathy.
Yes.
If that word is correct. They are Nigerians like us. They are our people. We cannot leave our people to drown in waters when we know we can help. After when we are done with the diasporans, with the legally citizens over there,
citizens.
God bless you. I can now attend to you. Reasons being you are in Nigeria. And I can't let you suffer
just in vain.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think with that, on your last note.
My last note, I disagree. Every human being has a basic right.
Whether you are a thief or...
Yes, that is why a thief will have access to justice. Whether or not they are. The only thing the ambassadors cannot do is to enforce their staying there. And the ambassador will not support the wrong they are doing. But the ambassador will ensure they have a right to legal recourse. After which, when the court decides, they can deport them. And the ambassadors, it's not just the diasporic community that they have this thing. When you have dual citizen, those ones are dealt with the country of heritage, origin. When you have your
country of host, or
the host country. When you have your citizens who are not, they may have legal rights to remain, but they are not citizens. That is where and the students have legal rights to study.
That's right.
They don't have legal right to work, except like in UK where you can work only 28 hours. But every human being.
28 hours?
28 hours a week.
Okay.
You can work 28 hours a week. Just to supplement your, they say. But anybody, if you are illegal, you find yourself illegal, there is a process to determine your illegality. And that process is where they deport you.
Thank you very much for coming to Spectacle. Alache Ode, a member of the Order of the British Empire, officer of the
OBE, not
OBE.
MBE.
Okay.
MBE is less than OBE.
All right. Okay. MBE is less than OBE.
It's like member of Order of Nigeria and officer of Order.
Okay,
of
you are
Nigeria.
an officer of the British
Order
Empire.
Of the British Empire.
Thank you for coming to Spectacle, ma.
And an ambassador of the Queen.
Ambassador of the Queen of England, the lady of the Queen of England.
Exactly.
You're welcome, ma. Thank you very much. And my human rights activist, Joy Okorie, it's nice having you on Spectacle.
Thank you, sir.
This is where Spectacle will stop today on Television Nigerian, and please do well to follow us on our social media platform. Drop your comments, and if we have treated you well, please communicate us, and we are here to serve you better. My name is Daniel Atai, and see you on Monday. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai.